What is art? Okay, let's not go that deep with it. What is art worth? Is this art? Who am I to say? But it sold for $6.2 million. Well, not this banana, but one just like it. This seems off to me. Maybe it's money laundering, but regardless, it means we need to come up with a better system. So let's value art off its actual price. So this banana art, 40 cents. Yeah, just 40 cents. Whoever paid $6.2 million got ripped off. Using this method, what are some other priceless pieces of art actually worth? The Mona Lisa? $156. David, you know, the statue, that's 8.5 tons of marble, so about $550 to $1,000. I hear what you're saying. We need to factor in time, transportation, and education, but trust me, it wouldn't move the needle compared to what this is worth. Now, you might not think of this as art, but the fact that we can turn sand into miniature brains is just mind-blowing, and I think that begins to qualify as art. If you ask those researching at the absolute limits of the field, they'll tell you it's just as much art as it is science. The process to make this is also such a fine art. The brushstrokes used to create this functional beauty are mind-bendingly small, 10,000 to 25,000 times smaller than a single hair on the paintbrush used to paint the Mona Lisa. Not only that, but you also need the world's most precise paint. Yes, making wafers like this requires painting. It's just that we have to spread an ultra-thin layer on here and then use ultra-precise light created by exploding tiny tin droplets into a plasma mid-air to apply our details, instead of using a paintbrush. Kinda beautiful, isn't it? An object created by light being so beautiful under a, well, much cheaper light. How can we even appreciate art this detailed with just our human eyesight? But more importantly, how much is this worth? Yeah, that looks pretty expensive. But I can't tell you exactly how much until I frame it, because after all, the frame's gonna be part of the cost. And if I'm gonna frame it, I might as well tackle the problem of seeing all that microscopic beauty with a custom frame that has some built-in magnification, instead of just hanging a shiny disc on the wall. With a little bit of internet searching, I found this frame meant to hang vinyl records on the wall. It seems like a good jumping off point. It also came with a picture of the Eiffel Tower. I don't know why they did that instead of going with any record from any time period, but it was cheap. So with the base of the project taken care of, we need to move on to the magnifier. Now, I can't just hang a microscope off the wall, because one small bump with my shoulder would send the artwork and the microscope crashing to the floor. Thankfully, I found this small 30x magnifier. I think it's meant for jewelry or something. What's important is that it's small, it's cheap, and it's cylindrical, which means it's going to be easier to mount. There is one issue with this though, and that's that the focus is fixed. There's no adjustment wheel like on a normal microscope. That means that my mount will need to be rigid enough to hold it at the exact distance, but also have some adjustability so I can get the focus correct during the initial build. After that focus is set though, this thing should not budge. Well, with those design challenges, let's see what we can do. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay, so going back to the drawing board, I had to look through my spare parts bin and I have these old linear rails off a 3D printer. We can mount these to the frame and make some kind of holder for our lens, mounting one to the other offset by 90 degrees. This will allow the lens to move around freely while keeping it at the right distance so it stays in focus. I whipped up some quick models in CAD and printed them out to see if it would work. Yoink. Oh, art that detailed? Yeah, it would be ruined by the impreciseness of melted plastic. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Thanks, Fancy Me, I agree. That was fine for a prototype, but art that's this detailed requires manufacturing to match. When I designed these parts, I had that in mind, and I made sure that the design would be somewhat practical to machine. I want to make a few tweaks to my mill, but before jumping into it, just in case, I reached out to JLC CNC and they were happy to act as a backup. The process was way less painful than I thought. Just upload your model, choose the material, and hit send. I also wanted them to thread the parts, just because I figure some of you watching probably don't have a tap and die set. If they're okay with sending me free parts, I might as well test the service. Assuming this wasn't a partnership, both of the parts I need would only cost about 60 bucks. And that's actually a lie, because I bought spares. 4 parts for $60. And that's even with some nice surface finishes that I couldn't replicate at home. Kinda makes me wonder why I bought a mill of my own. It's okay, I promise. I still love and cherish you. It's just a segue to today's sponsor, JLC CNC. JLC CNC is your trusted CNC machining partner, offering fast and affordable, high-precision custom parts for makers, engineers, and businesses alike. Whether you're prototyping or scaling up, JLC CNC has you covered with bringing your ideas to life exactly how you designed them. With competitive pricing and no hidden setup fees, it doesn't matter if you need 1 part or 1,000, JLC CNC has you covered. I'm sorry in advance. JLC CNC uses advanced 3-axis and 5-axis CNC machines to ensure every detail matches your design. And their quality inspection for dimensional accuracy and surface finish means that you know your parts are going to be exactly what you expect when they arrive. It's 2 more axes than you have. I'm sorry. JLC CNC. Fast to deliver, affordable to make, and custom built to match. JLC CNC is here for every step of your project. Don't miss this special offer and use the link in the description to get $70 off your first custom CNC order. With the backup plan ordered, it's time to get to my own mill. Last time I had a little bit of a offset when I flipped my parts around. I got a fancy 3D touch probe so I can accurately dial in where my part is. So all I have to do is wire it up, figure out how to get my controller to read it, alongside the tool height. That was fast. All right, first impressions, it's really well packaged. Maybe a little too well packaged? It also shipped really fast. I just did the standard shipping and I got my package within a week. But JLC can ship within 3 to 5 business days if you need to expedite it. Let's open this up and see what goodies we have inside. Man, I wish this is what they delivered. It probably would have hurt a lot less. Wow. Those are really nice looking. Aren't these parts beautiful? And they're pretty accurate too. I went with the cheapest option as far as tolerance goes on the JLC CNC website. That's supposed to be 9 millimeters, which means it's 0.01 millimeters off. That is less than half a thou. I would really struggle to hit that on my machine. They undersold and over-delivered on the accuracy. Pretty nice. I also gotta say, I was a little worried that the bead blasted finish on these two would be a little less accurate than the just raw off the mill finish. This only cost an extra $1 or $2 per part, and it looks great, and the accuracy is pretty much the same. Oh yeah. Perfect. Now, earlier I mentioned that I put in a little test feature on the part to see how JLC would handle it. And that's this little screw hole here. If someone came to me and asked me to make this part, I'd probably ask them to reconsider. And if they couldn't reconsider, I'd probably charge them a little bit more. The reason being, most taps are tapered. This right here is a blind hole, meaning you can't access it from the back. Because of that, when you go to put this tapered tap, pointy bit on the end, into here, it's gonna bottom out and you're not gonna get threads all the way down. If this hole went all the way through to the back, then you could just put the tap in from the back and it would be easy. There's also some pretty tight clearances in here, so to get in there and actually make those threads is a pretty precise job. JLC CNC didn't charge me any extra for this, and they delivered the part as designed. Don't do this, be nice to your machinists, but yeah, for a test feature, I'm really impressed with this. All right, let's get this mounted to the frame. And blasted a hole through the frame. Oops. That is made out of plastic. Guess it checks out, it's cheap.
Aw, nuts.
Okay, our frame's almost complete. The only thing notable is the end bit here on the linear rail. I put a washer and a nut on a screw. The washer catches on the linear rail and the head of the screw stays up a little bit. These are filled with ball bearings, and if they leave the rail, they kind of tend to explode and the ball bearings go everywhere and you don't have a good day. That is so satisfying. Well, with the frame complete, let's get our expensive sand back into that frame. Oh wait, with a little YouTube magic, it's already done. I have taken this thing apart and put it back together so many times already. But we also need a way to mount this to the wall in a way where it doesn't want to tip or tilt while people are moving the lens around. Thankfully, all that's going to be hidden so we can whip up some quick mounts and just 3D print those. With a little bit of trial and error, I came up with these. They fit into the frame perfectly and they allow it to sit flush to the wall, better than any normal wall hanging mount. As an easy way to mount things like this, just add some double-sided tape to the wall side of the mount and a little bitty bit of tape to hold it all together while you line it up. Use a laser level to make sure the frame's aligned just right and press it to the wall, pull the frame away, mark your holes, and just make sure to take the double-sided tape off before attaching it to the wall permanently, because otherwise it'll take the paint off when you go to move. Anyway, look at how well this turned out. It can almost function like a mirror, but if your curiosity gets the best of you, you can just walk right up and get lost in all the details. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Yo, wait. I can see the comment section now. You're about to anger a lot of people. Really? I thought this was just a goofy story wrapped around a fun maker build to, help keep people interested. Yeah, seriously. Have you learned nothing? People get upset over the most mundane stuff. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you should cover your bases before you upload this. You know what? I have a good artist friend. I'll give them a call and see what they think. Also, do you ever find it weird that we're just talking to ourselves? No? No? Not really? Oh. Nice project, by the way. Metal's a nice touch. Much nicer than the plastic. Hold on, you're coming out of the wrong thing.
I actually answered the call on the wrong thing as well. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, but I was hoping to get a little art help. Kind of a weird question, but do you think it would be offensive to other artists if I said that the Mona Lisa was only worth $156?
I love this.
Because that's what it would cost for paint and the canvas, basically.
I mean, even that is a ridiculous amount, considering how much the actual cost of oil and pigments that were probably used for the Mona Lisa. And then he stretched his own canvases with materials that were probably, he was making so many paintings at the time.
So you think less?
So to think that the actual amount of money that those materials cost is $156 is absolutely, people could not afford to be painters if that was the case.
Cool.
You could instead look at the mineral availability.
If I'm just trying to do the bare minimum and just look up material costs on Amazon and I get to $156 as my answer, you don't think that's gonna annoy anyone?
It would annoy me because I am the type of painter that thinks that painting should be accessible and affordable, and that's an asinine amount of money for anybody to spend creating a painting that is as big as the Mona Lisa.
Other weird question, is it okay if I use part of this conversation as a clip in a YouTube video?
Oh, you should have told me beforehand. You fin guy.
I wanted your honest, unbiased reaction. If I was hey, this is for a YouTube video or something, you might have changed your opinion. All right, not the answer I was expecting, but as you just heard from a professional painter and sculptor, an artist, my method is infallible. If anything, I'm overvaluing the painting, which is kind of hilarious because I thought she was just going to call me an idiot, but I completely agree with her message. Art should be accessible. So, is my art accessible? How much did this cost? Seeing as you guys can't give me any flack in the comments, I guess it's time to cut back to our fancy montage and figure out the final price.
That's a total of $28,206,497,910.
Or you can skip building yourself your very own PCB fab, and you can find one of these wafers on Amazon for right around 50 bucks. Add in the linear rails, the frame, the 3D printed or CNC parts, and you're sitting right around $100. A lot more attainable than tens of billions of dollars. So yeah, if you like this project, I hope you give it a try. And if not, I hope I inspired you to go out and make something of your own. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Bo, please do not the art.